What's up, my loyal listeners? It's the Video Game Guru here, ready to review Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, the Legacy of Goku HD remake that nobody asked for. And I say that in the nicest way possible. But to get into it, this review is primarily going to be going over the story, the gameplay, and why I wish I could find 7 Dragon Balls myself to make this a better adventure in some way, shape, or form. But with all that out the way, let's get into it. For those of you unfamiliar with the Legacy of Goku, those were some Game Boy Advance titles that came out about a better part of a decade, actually a little over a decade now, that retold the story of Kakarot, or Goku, going through the major story beats, the training segments, the slight bits of downtime, the little bit of slice of life, the obvious bombastic action and boss fights. But it covered the story from start to finish in wonderful pixelated fashion. Now, 2020, we have Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. That story retold again for the umpteenth time, probably more times than they reran the series on Toonami actually. And we get to experience it in true 1080p 4K fidelity on whatever powerhouse system you may have, and it could not look any more the same. The story follows the same beats. This is the story of Kakarot. You are supposed to be going from start to finish, going through his grandiose journey from his young moments when he first started a family and brought Gohan by Kame House to the very end of Z when he finally defeated Kid Buu and decided that he wanted to use that last wish along with the Spirit Bomb to hope he comes back as a good guy. It covers it all. It does every single little bit of it. But for some reason it seems like they beat a dead horse. They beat this horse all the way to death, and then they wished it back, and they beat it again, and then they went to Namek, and then they wished it back one more time, and then they decided to beat it within an inch of its life. It's just uninspired. Nothing's new, nothing's really added. There's been a lot of talk about the side missions and the things of that nature, but the side missions boil down to fetch quests that aren't really worth the experience, or the interactions for that matter. There's been a couple of people that I've noticed reviewing this game that try to say, oh, well, you get some unique interactions with old Dragon Ball characters, and there's things that you got to do that you never really got to see before. You get little cheeky one-on-one dialogue bits that are all equally uninspired. They don't add anything to the lore, really. There's nothing that changes your perspective about the show. There's even maybe a handful of chuckles. But when I heard that they were going to have side missions that expounded on story, and even slice of life moments and filler moments harkening back to the downtime in the Cell games, and Piccolo and Goku getting their driver's license, to some of the training that Vegeta did, I really thought they were going to do a deep dive and touch on all the sagas. I thought maybe we would have seen Garlic Jr. saga. I thought we would have gotten more of the Great Saiyaman. I thought we would have actually got to have a maybe split off and choose what part of the Dragon team you want to use when they were hunting down Imperfect Cell for the first time. But you don't get any of that. They actually don't have the Garlic Jr. saga, the Otherworld Tournament saga where Goku meets Pikkon and proceeds to defeat Frieza and Cell in Hell before he goes back up to the Otherworld, which is essentially heaven, and get to have a tournament with all the heroes. They don't have any of that. They don't have too much of the World Tournament saga when Goku is wished back. They don't have any of the movies. Now, I thought when we were talking side missions and things of that nature, we would have been getting movies as well. I thought they would have thrown those in there to supplement the story, to flesh it out. I didn't think you would get collect the vegetables, collect the prime wolf meat, go fight Robot A, go take out random Frieza Force soldier group over in Master Roshi's island. That makes you have to go through 3 loading screens because you're on the other side of the earth, which makes you have to go to the world map. They dropped the ball. All 7 of them. I'm going to keep making that joke to make the point that this game needs something. It literally needed a wish or a miracle to make it not seem so uninspired. The story of it just was lame. I found myself breezing through. I found myself not really enjoying too many of the cutscenes because it was so horrendously inconsistent. It was almost impossible to capture a good solid stretch of cutscene gameplay to show off the fidelity that CyberConnect 2 has with the different games they've made in the past, like the Ninja Storm series, things like that. I thought I really would have had a visual treat, but it was so sketchy and so here and there. There wasn't really much to keep you locked in unless you felt like just breezing through the story and doing a string of fights. And if you've seen Dragon Ball Z, it's nice to hear the voice actors come back and reprise their roles. They do their thing, as usual. They kill it. And you can only really hear that so many times. There's not too much more you can really glean from that if you're not going to go into avenues of the narrative that haven't been explored before. If you're just doing the same thing, the result's going to be the same. I'm not going to care. I'm going to become jaded, and I'm probably going to wish that you had a GT game or a Super game just so I could see something different. Now, all of this is coming from a Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball GT, Dragon Ball Super, Dragon Ball Xenoverse, Budokai Tenkaichi Fighters veteran. I love my Dragon Ball world. So a lot of this really needed to have its game stepped up in order to impress what I would say a fan, a super fan, an otaku, whatever you want to call me. For people that don't know the story all that well, or just may want to foray into what Dragon Ball Z is about and they hear it's an RPG, yeah, this will probably state it. This will probably go ahead and whet your appetite. You'll get a broad overview of what the story encapsulated, who the main players were, and it will be a good, enjoyable experience for people not looking for depth or people not familiar with this story already. If you are looking for either one of those things, or the RPG element of this game to really be fleshed out, look elsewhere. Look for another JRPG, look for another action RPG, but this is not the one if you do not fit those demographics I pointed out previously. Next, I can touch on gameplay. The gameplay in Dragon Ball Z Kakarot is pretty straightforward. You have your dialogue interactions, your cutscenes with no choosable dialogue because you are playing the role of Kakarot. It is that style of RPG game. You have your open world exploration where you fly around, you collect your orbs, you do your side missions, you do your exploring, you see your little nods to, the show, manga. You have your different little bits and pieces here that you can explore and have your special dialogue. If you go to Gohan's old house in the forest as Goku, he'll have a little line about visiting Grandpa Gohan and how he needs to do it more often. So you get your different things. It's cool. It's cool. But that's about the extent of it. That's about the extent of it with the exploration. That's about the extent of it with the narrative interaction gameplay. And then we have our fighting. What you really come to Dragon Ball Z about. The main thing, the meat and potatoes, the thing that makes you go, this is it right here. This is why I got this. And can I say that that's up to snuff? For the most part. I would say it gets the job done. It's serviceable. And that may not sound too confident, but I guess after coming off of years upon years of the open arena format with the Budokai and Budokai Tenkaichi games and then Xenoverse and Xenoverse 2 games, I have seen a wide variety of the different tweaks and implementations. I can say that Kakarot has a little bit of the best of all of them. It has the old beam clashes. It has the high-paced action. It has the basic combo structure. It has reactive gameplay. It's fast-paced. It feels powerful when you do it right. You feel like you're getting completely and utterly destroyed when you're on the opposite end of it. There isn't too much challenge, but you're playing as Kakarot. Hint, hint. There shouldn't be too much challenge. He really doesn't come across too much of it in the Z portion of things. He is the hero. It's fun, but is it as polished as it could be? No, it isn't. Is it as tight as it could be? Again, no, it isn't. There's moments where, to simulate challenge, the boss fights can get a little tricky, gimmicky, and they can power and plow through every single thing you do, no matter if your timing is perfect or not. So that can be a little bit vexing, especially when you're looking for an actual challenge in a Dragon Ball game. And sure, the fights are fun in the open world and the overworld, no matter how painfully repetitive, annoying, obtrusive, and overall played out and tired they are by the end of the game. They can still be fun, especially when they're trying to try out new moves. The training segments, I would say, are the only thing that have an understandable level of challenge. You are training, so it should be tough. It normally rewards you with a move or a technique. Those are cool. It even goes back to a little nod of some mental training that they did on the way to Namek, something that they only showed 1 or 2 times and mentioned before in show, but they never really showed too much more of it. Those were the cooler moments when you could, have your character fight against whatever they view as a challenge to help them unlock the next move. But beyond that, sure, it was fun, sure, it was serviceable, but it wasn't as tight or as polished. They had simulated challenge. It was overall repetitive. It kind of reminded me of the Naruto Ninja Storm games with not as much nuance. That had a few more tricks up its sleeve and ways to manipulate the characters and the environment. This is just pretty straightforward with the exact same combo string with slightly different animations since the roster is so small. So once again, simulate uniqueness when it's all just animations to the exact same button prompt. It's kind of sad to have to say this much negativity about a Dragon Ball game. But at the end of the day, you gotta be honest about what you feel with the product that you have. And this doesn't really feel like a full $60 game. It feels like they should have waited. It feels like the DLC probably should have been added for free. Because as it stands, this is a pretty bare bones game. If you're a noob, or if you just can't say no to Dragon Ball, this game is probably going to be for you. But if you're looking for depth, if you're looking for something high quality, if you're looking for great fighting, if you're looking for a twist on narrative, you can go ahead and look the other way and just wait for the next season of Super to come out. Maybe pick up Fighter Z, get the best Dragon Ball Z fighting game that we've had since, in my opinion, ever. And get your fix there. Well, with that, this is the Video Game Guru saying thank you once again for listening. I appreciate your time. I appreciate the patronage of your time. Please like, subscribe, comment, share. I love the interaction. I'm working on making sure that I stay consistent for you and working on the quality for you, making sure that what I say is worth listening to. But with all that, you all have a great day. I'm signing off.